All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Cam Davis here with us in the media centre, and we're going to ask him a couple of questions and then we'll throw to you guys, so pop your hand up and we'll get a microphone to you. Cam, you got back in on Monday morning, I think it was, jet lag and everything like that. How's it travelling so far?
Oh, not too bad. I've gotten pretty used to that trip now, so I feel like I know what I need to do to get back on track. It's been fine last couple of days. Nice getting up early and needing to get up early tomorrow as well, so that actually makes it a little bit easier for me, so not too bad.
And you've got a 4-week run basically of tournaments down here, so how's the game looking before this next 4 weeks?
I've been able to take a lot of time off over the last couple of months after finishing off a good end to my PGA Tour season this year, so I'm coming in with not many tournaments under my belt, but the golf that I have been playing has been very solid. So, it's a little different style of golf coming back over here. It's a little windier. The grass is a little different, so it's taking some getting used to. But at the same time, I have played here before. I kind of do know what to expect. It's just a matter of, tomorrow morning, hopefully the ball's going nice and straight and I read the green and the greens well.
You had a good finish here last year, and then next week we go to a place where you won the Australian Open a few years ago. So good memories coming back for the fortnight of the 2 big weeks?
Yeah, no, it's all, regardless of whether tournaments are being held, I'm always so happy to come back, and it'll be fun having a home week next week, but it's also awesome to start my little Australia stretch here in Brisbane, so I'm looking forward to it.
We'll go to some questions. Evan Priest.
Cam, how are you, mate?
Good, mate.
Really solid, as you mentioned, really solid finish to your fall series. You didn't finish worse than 12th. Do you feel like you're arriving with enough confidence to win one of these two, if not maybe both of them?
I would love to. I mean, the golf has been very good. It's been nice and consistent. Again, I haven't played too much over the last few weeks. It's been a nice little break. My last tournament was Zozo, so the golf I was playing up until that point was great. It's a bit of a challenge to kind of go from no golf to get yourself back in tournament mindset and get your game in really good, sharp shape for the week. But I feel like I've got my little things to rely on, my little go-to feels and all that, and they have been working very well. So I don't see any reason why a good couple of weeks can't turn into a win somewhere along the way. That would be awesome.
So you haven't played since the Zozo. What do you get up to rest in Seattle? Give us a bit of an insight to your home life.
What a week at home looks like.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sitting on the couch and appreciating not having to be anywhere. I've got a dog. He's a handful. He's a lot of fun, so he keeps me active. But there's a lot of hanging out at home, hanging out with my wife's family, and there's still plenty of golf being played. It's just for fun, and I appreciate being able to play golf for fun because I do really enjoy golf in general. It can turn into a job on the road quite a lot, so I'm really trying to be taking advantage of the fact that I've had a pretty stress-free last few months since I finished up the PGA Tour season. So it's been a lot of fun golf, but not super serious golf.
Just last one from me. Adam Scott was just in here and mentioned the group chats have started for the President's Cup and says that Mike is going to sort of pick up where Trevor left off. Does it feel that way? And is it true that Minwoo is the most active member of the group chat? And are you excited to be a part of that process again?
I'm very excited to be a part of it all. It was probably one of the coolest weeks of my life last year at the President's Cup. It's so much fun being amongst a group of guys that you both look up to and play alongside, and actually having them wanting you to play well. It's a very unique experience in professional golf. Normally you're out there on your own and no one really cares unless you beat them, then they're mad. So it was a very cool week to meet guys and become friends with them. I feel like it made me feel a lot more comfortable on tour, and once you experience what it's like, especially playing some good golf in that environment, you just never want to miss it again. So I'd really like to experience one outside of the US when there might be a little more support for our side. So I'm definitely working hard to be a part of it again next year.
Captain, do you think Mike will be?
I mean, everyone who was a part of the one last year all took on leadership roles that made a huge difference, and he was a part of that. So I mean, Trevor did an amazing job. He had quite a long time to prepare for it, but at the same time, it's a really big job. But I'm sure Mike has all of those guys around him helping him along with this process as well. But he's just as into it as Trevor was, and I'm sure with it being in close to home for him, amongst fans that have supported him through his whole career. I think he's actually going to bring a lot of the country in to support us as well. So I think he's doing a great job. He's really involved already, and getting in that team room again would be a lot of fun with him.
Jim Tucker?
Cam, just with last year, no one went lower than you really on the weekend with, I think, 66, 68. What did you find in the course of the tournament last year? Because your first 2 rounds, you're almost out the back door. And then you've flown into the top 10. What did you find about the course that you liked?
I mean, last year was definitely a lot firmer and faster than this year because there's been a little bit more rain around. There was one thunderstorm that rolled through last year, but it didn't really affect the speed of the greens. So this year, it's going to be a slightly different approach. It's going to be a little more, I'd say, aggressive golf for most of the field because things are a tiny bit softer. But I mean, I think the difference was I just made a few more putts on the weekend. I didn't feel like I hit it that bad last year over the first couple of rounds, but if you're just not quite reading the grain properly or just don't quite have your speed out here, it feels like the ball takes a U-turn right in front of the hole every time. So, if you can get that speed and get used to seeing the ball rolling in the hole, there's no reason why a birdie barrage can't come your way. But, it just takes a little bit of touch and feel and getting used to. So I think I'm not far away from that, and hopefully a little bit of tournament juices in the body will help me focus a little better and make that happen when it counts.
What sort of pride do you have that you are part of that next wave of Aussie golfers coming through? Like we've had the Jeff Ogilvy's and Adam Scott's who've been up a long time, players like that and others, that you and Min Woo and Lucas Herbert are coming through and are very valid golfers with plenty of titles yourself. Can you talk what it means to you to be part of that sort of ongoing legacy, I guess?
Well, we had a lot of really big names to look up to, had a lot of success amongst themselves. I feel like as Australians, we're very proud sports people, and I feel like that doesn't leave from generation to generation. We've got a bunch of major winners ahead of us that we've got to look forward to, and we would love to leave our mark on the game just as much as they have. There's quite a few of us in position to be able to kind of kick into that sort of stage of our career now. I feel like we've got, quite a few of us who are starting to, really contend week in, week out in some big tournaments, and it will just be a matter of time before a really big one comes our way. I mean, Cam's already got one. He's, a couple of years ahead of me, but at the same time, I would kind of clump him in the same group of guys that we're, it's kind of nice to kind of feel like you're holding your own amongst the world of golf. And we've always had a bunch of Aussies up there to look up to and see how they did it. And they're not exactly taking us under their wing as much as kind of now we're able to play alongside them and see for ourselves rather than through the TV what it's like to play at that level. So we're getting that sort of assistance now, and at the same time, the inner confidence, I think, is starting to come out for a few guys. So it's going to be very exciting over the next few years. I'd love to be a part of that sort of group that starts getting a few more trophies on the board and up those world rankings and, getting some majors coming our way.
Adam Pengilly?
Cam, your world ranking's at a point now where hopefully all 4 majors are looked after next year, obviously. I'm just curious, how much of a focus are you putting on trying to qualify for the Olympics next year?
I've got the Olympics sort of bundled into the same sort of thing as the President's Cup in that I really want to be a part of it, but at the same time, I'm not going to be a part of it unless I play some really good golf between now and then. And the best way for me to do that is to kind of take the pressure off myself and not focus on it. So I really want that to be a pleasant surprise when it comes to time to choose the team, but it's going to be as a result of doing all the little things really well. So it would be huge for me, and I would absolutely love every second of being a part of that. I did watch the last couple and imagine myself in their shoes and thinking how cool would it be to, have a medal or have a chance to win an Olympic medal as a golfer. But I also know that, playing consistent golf week in, week out, give myself a chance to win tournaments. I personally don't feel like I do as good a job of that if I'm thinking ahead. So I'm trying to keep everything really small and close to me right now, and hopefully by the time of the year that I need to be in good form, I'm right there and in the conversation. So it would be a lot of fun though.
I know we're here at the Australian PGA this week, but obviously going back to the Australian for the Australian Open next week, what does it mean to go back to the course where you sort of won that tournament from the clouds and really helped launch your career?
There's a lot of good memories there. So it'll be a fun practice round walking around there and seeing all the places where I have been, hit great shots, to relive some of those memories. But at the same time, they're both really challenging courses, and it's going to be straight back to work for me at the same time. So I'll give myself a chance to relive some of those emotions. But for the most part, new week, it's been a long time since I played those courses. I do know them, but at the same time, I don't know how they would have changed between last time I played them and now. So yeah, it's going to be back to work, but at the same time, nice to be pretty much home. I mean, it's as close to home as I'm ever going to play a tournament right now, so I'm going to enjoy every second of that.
Bruce Young.
Cam, you've had a marvellous career already on the PGA Tour, but I just wonder how you yourself assess where you're at with your game and your career. I mean, is it possible for you to rate it? Are you building platforms? Are you happy with where you're progressing?
A big one for me, and one that I'm trying to maintain as long as I can, is feeling like I'm a better golfer every year. And I think I've been ticking that box since I was maybe, first put a club in my hand when I was 4 or 5. So I would say I wish I had accomplished more at this point. I'm sure everyone's going to say the same thing, but at the same time, I'm very proud of the fact that I feel like I'm becoming a more accomplished golfer every year. I've got a little bit more of an idea of how I work. I think the consistency is becoming a little bit more noticeable to myself as the years go on. A few more opportunities to win. A year like last year, I don't really know how to rate it on a scale, but at the same time, I'm very happy with how I played when I needed to play well, and that's a really good sign for me going forward. Every time I do that, it's in the memory bank. Next time I'm in that situation, I know I can do it. So, it's been an enjoyable, continual upward trend for my golfing career. So I'm looking forward to what's coming next. Hopefully, it's a few more trophies for me.
Thanks.
Marco Monteverde.
Cam, you said before it's a bit, softer out here, a bit more, maybe golf, maybe target golf or aggressive golf. If it stays like this, what might a top score be? Winning score, do you think?
So when I say soft, it's just not as much roll in the fairways. The greens still don't really spin. So in that regard, it's actually still quite similar to last year. It's just you're not going to see as many drives bouncing and rolling over 350, which you did see a few times downwind last year. So in that regard, I think the scores will probably be a little bit lower than last year, but not too much lower. It's very wind dependent. If we get a few days where the wind's not really blowing, I think the scores could drastically go lower and get closer to 18, 20 under par pretty quickly. The wind stays up. I mean, it's a tough golf course to get in the birdie run, and shooting 3 or 4 under with a little bit of wind around is a really good score, and I don't see anyone doing that in the wind 4 days in a row except for a couple that might have a career week. So I would say mid-teens would be a really good effort. You're definitely going to be in the conversation on Sunday if you're near that. So but at the same time, setting a mark is kind of a weird one because you've got no idea. Last year I probably would have said the same thing, and the scores didn't get to that point. So we'll see what happens, but right now I see it pretty similar to last year.
Paul Munnings.
Just final one from me. We had Adam Scott in here before, and he was talking about changing his ball and changing his equipment. How much tinkering do you do during a year, or do you leave it till when you've had a bit of a break?
I try and get my equipment to the point where I don't really need to adjust, either week to week for conditions, or I like keeping things the same year to year as much as I can. So I feel like I can just improve myself rather than mask anything that's going wrong with my swing with an equipment change. I've made a couple of changes over the last couple of years that I would say are considered relatively big ones, but they felt small to me. I went to a ball that spins the same but launches a tiny bit lower, so it didn't really feel like much of a change. I went from a putter that I went back to a putter I used actually in 2017 at the Aussie Open. So I have used it before, but it's just been a while since I've used that style of putter, so it didn't feel like a big change. And with the irons, I went to a little more forgiveness, a little bit more cavity, especially in the longer irons, but they still look like blades. So to me, they didn't feel like big changes, but on paper, they help a little bit, each of those ones. But I try and keep everything as similar as possible because it's a comfort thing for me. Once I like the way something looks, I don't really want to muck around with it too much.
And just finally, does this feel like the start of a new year when you come home, or is it the end of the old year?
I don't know. It's always before Christmas. I feel like Christmas is kind of like the official end of the year. So I feel like we're just winding down to the end of the year. So obviously see these tournaments as a really big sort of feather in the cap to try and play well at. So, but I don't see it as starting the new year. I see it as this could be an awesome finish to the season. So yeah, it'd be great. I feel I haven't won a tournament this year, so I feel like I'm still lumping this in as 2023 season. Would love to get a trophy by the end of the year.
Last one before we let you go, Cam. What time will the alarm go off tomorrow morning?
3:15 or something like that. I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah. I can't
Beautiful.
wait.
Thanks for your time and play well this week.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Alrighty.